Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Wow, what a beautiful start to Friday. It is just amazing. I have a little bit of a breeze here, but other than that, we got nice blue sky and it smells great out here, and you hear some birds tweeting in the background. Guys, you really do have to slow down and just enjoy life a little bit. This world is just moving way too fast. And in fact, in our space, it's almost by the second, right? I remember a quote by Francis of Assisi, and this guy is from a way back, hundreds of years ago. Anyway, he has this famous quote. It says, if you want to live life free, take your time and go slowly. And there's some truth to that, that's for sure, because I think it's like cats in the cradle. We're all so busy and bustling and hustling and everything like that, that we actually forget to take time to enjoy the things that are the most meaningful. A little bit of solitude, friends, family, all that stuff. Now, I was reading two articles this morning, and the first one really was something. So this one's coming out, and it's on Rolls-Royce vehicles. So apparently Rolls-Royce had probably the best year on record that they had in 2022, and in fact really outdid 2021. Now the thing that's really amazing about that, of course, is that in 2022 we were seeing some major inflation out there, and for the majority of folks it was really tough. I mean, you saw a rise in your energy prices, your food prices, of course, gas for your vehicles and all that kind of stuff. But the ultra rich, wow, they were out there spending big time on these luxury items and luxury vehicles. And it shows this major class disparity that is being built up in our economies. And it looks like the complete erosion of the middle class getting wiped out completely, and it's a real rich-poor divide. And it's quite telltale when you think about it. Anyhow, when you consider the fact that all these bigwigs, all these multi-billionaires and everything like that are right now on their way or already at Davos for this big WEF conference, and imagine this, guys, the private jets that are being flown in there and the private security and all the catering and everything that goes on, it is crazy. It's in the tune of tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that is being poured in there right now just for this conference. And you go to the WEF's website, and what do they have in there? Well, their idea is that the average person, I just was hearing this off of Glenn Beck, the average person should only have 3 changes of clothes, new clothes in a year. Or that they shouldn't even have vehicle ownership, and they should even be sharing houses, and on and on and on. Yet they're living like pie in the sky, ivory tower type lifestyles, and it's all these folks, unelected by the way, of multi-billionaires that are out there coming up with all this stuff. And you're thinking, well, hold on a second. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Well, I guess not in their book. In their book, it really doesn't matter what happens to us poor serfs, because, we're here to build the infrastructure so that we can support them. They're standing, guys, by the way, on our shoulders. That's how it is. Now, hey, I get it. I have no problem with people accumulating wealth and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. That's why we're investors. That's why we're in this space, so that we can accumulate wealth. But the reality is this, guys. There are much greater motivators for the accumulation of wealth than just greed and self-centeredness. There's a lot that can be done around the world for people. And Judy and I, certainly, we have a philanthropic heart. We've been to Rwanda 4 times. And I'll tell you what, you understand poverty, from a mental aspect, but when you really see it, it's something to behold. And your heart is just so moved. Most folks, unless you got a heart of absolute stone, because you just realize how little it would take to truly change someone's life in a dramatic and meaningful way, powerful way. I'll never forget, I was over there one time, and I was out in a village, and I was just watching a presentation, and this little fella came along, and he's pulling on my pant leg there. And I look down, and here he is, about 6 or 7 years old, and he looks up at me. And I'm telling you, with the sincerity I have ever heard, a sincere plea in my entire life. And he said, "Please, will you sponsor me to go to school?" I mean, this kid was barely just out of the age of a kindergartner, and he knew enough to know that life could change for him if he was able to go to school. And yet you have, kids out here in the West, complaining about having to get up to go to school. I'm telling you guys, it will move you in ways if you ever get the opportunity to actually go out there and serve and get out there and deal and work around people that are suffering with abject poverty. I'm telling you, your whole mindset will change about how you are and how blessed we are here in the West. We are so, so blessed. Anyhow, the second article that I was reading today had to do with the erosion of personal liberty. Now, there's been a whole generation of folks born and raised and graduated from high school and all that since 9/11. Now, those of us that were around before that, we remember the liberty that we used to have. When we would go to the airport, could literally walk someone to the gate. That disappeared. Now you have entire body scanners. And I don't know if many of us will go back. Remember the big debate over those body scanners and the invasion of privacy and how bad people thought it was? Well, that got acquiesced and we went down that road. Now we're talking about a whole bunch more liberty being eroded with our online, profiles and all this and that and things like that. Now, having said that, I do think that there is a place to actually police some of the things that go online, because obviously some of it is practically barbaric and is illegal already. And certainly those people that are involved in those things need to be brought to justice. But that doesn't mean that everybody else should have to forfeit their liberty so that there should be enforcement, when in fact there are tools right now that people can be identified a lot easier than what they think. Look, I worked for the federal government for over 35 years in Canada, and you would not believe the repository of information that the government actually holds on individual citizens. It is staggering. And I was able to actually locate people practically anywhere in the world. And you think about this, anytime you go in to get a prescription, heck, back in the day, and this is, because I was working for them for many, many years. Well, back in the day, we could even actually enforce with a requirement to provide information, Blockbuster Video, to cough up their video registrations on various individuals. So if I was investigating someone in an area there, and I thought, hey, I wonder if they have a membership over there at Blockbuster Video and how I can get up-to-date information and find them, we could actually send a requirement to Blockbuster Video, and they would have to legally cough up that information. That's how much authority your government has, and they do it ex parte. That means without your knowledge. They're not even required to advise you to do it. So all these folks that get on there and they think that, oh, well, they're just anonymous and they can say whatever they please with impunity and all this and that and all this kind of stuff. That is absolutely ridiculous. But needless to say, you know what? The reality is that we're not as anonymous as we think. And the government doesn't need even more authority to protect things out there, because they have enough tools in their toolbox already, in my view, to actually go out there and enforce this program legislation that's already there. And we don't need to see the erosion of our liberty much any more than we did. And with the whole idea of central bank digital currencies coming out and then potentially tying that to any kind of a social program, guys, we need to get out there and get our voices heard. Let those lawmakers that represent us, that we put up there on the Hill, know what our thoughts and ideas are about the whole idea of this erosion of our liberty, and get out there and stand up for it now before there's no one left to stand and we totally lose it. Anyway, well, guys, it is Friday, and of course Friday means that, it's the weekend, last day of the week, and we don't do anything on the weekend. Now, hey, I was planning to do a live stream this Saturday, but I'm going to have to bump that down a little bit, perhaps even next weekend or something like that. And so I want to celebrate those 15,000 subscribers that we had and we'll probably bump that down the road a little bit. But guys, I appreciate each and every one of you and just how great this community is. And I thank you so much for the support you've given and how you've actually boosted this entire community out there so that more and more people are actually getting some great information. So hey, I hope, and I really want to thank you for that. Now, I hope you all have a great weekend. I do have a super video coming out for us later on this afternoon. And until then, guys, have a great Friday and take care.